see.
And do you guys have a link? I can tweet this out.
Yeah, you can go to the YouTube and look up PharcydeTV, and you should see the live link. And we are live. What's up, y'all? Splendid Radio on PharcydeTV. You know what I'm saying? We got Jeremy Scippio, you know what I'm saying, in the place to be. And we have special guest.
Frederick Douglass Lockhart III. With an E after the D.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Yeah, Freddy Lockhart. That's what the slower version or the easier version is. But yeah, when people see that, they're like, "Are you related to him?" I was like, "No, I'm the third, named after my dad, his dad, but my grandfather's named after Frederick Douglass."
I actually thought that was kind of dope.
Yeah, people love that when they see my name is Frederick. Like, your name is Frederick Douglass. I have a friend, Vanessa. She only calls me Frederick Douglass. She won't call me anything else. She goes, "Shut up, Frederick Douglass."
Nah,
yo,
right.
Well, I give a more intro. Yeah. So this guy is one of my big homies in the comedy game. Always insightful, always dropping knowledge, man. You know, we kick it at the Comedy Store pretty often, or I should say used to, because you know, it's actually just now starting to operate again. Right. But yeah, I want to know first and foremost, like, how do you feel, you know, with the whole new environment? You know, not being able to kick it at the store like, you know, like the old days.
Yeah, it's weird, man. The only comfort I take is that we're all going through it together, you know. But it's like I don't know what to do with myself. I haven't been on stage in months, you know. Like, I don't know if I would have to relearn it again. Like, the whole thing is so it's like a military guy who needs to be deployed. You know what I mean? Like, I need to get into the action. And so instead, I'm just sitting around running material by my dogs, my wife, you know what I mean? And so it's been tough, but I think the grind, the thing is keeping your mind right through this thing too, you know. It really can. It's like, I always look at it like, how would you fare in prison? Would you be the dude to go get a law degree? Or would you be the dude, you know, to get turned out? Or would you be the dude to, you know, try to escape? Like, I think I'd go for the law degree. So it's like, it's one of those things where I have to look at it like I've been allotted this time for some reason, and I should try to make the best of it. I'm not saying I'm doing that, but I should certainly try to make the best of it. You know what I mean? I should be working out. I should be, you know, taking it, writing scripts, doing all those things that, you know, you say, I never have enough time. I don't got time to write a script. Well, now I got all the time in the world, and I haven't written my name down on anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, mentally it's up and down. When it first happened, it was really hard to have that taken away from me, because I write on a show and then I go do stand up. Like, that's my entire life. And so now, you know, I wake up, I'm like, would I play PlayStation? You know, do I yeah, these are good choices, but they're not life productive choices. They're not that thing we're chasing, you know. I'm good at Call of Duty, I'm good at Madden, but that's not going to get me my next deal, you know.
Yeah. How do you get turned out at home alone, though?
But I got a German Shepherd. Man. Look at her over there. She's chewing on a bone right now. Like, that's how you get turned out. She goes, "Yeah, welcome, new fresh fish. Welcome, new guy." No, but it's like, it's one of these things. Though, what are you going to do with your time? Are you going to give in to the weakness? Are you going to give in to the bad thoughts? Are you going to create bad habits? Because I've been doing all of that, but I'm slowly pulling out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, how much weed can you smoke? How much can you drink? Well, I've certainly been trying to find out during this this hiatus that we're on, and I've found some amazing new limits. I really have. It's pretty incredible.
I got two quick questions for you, and I'm gonna dip out.
All right.
One, who was Hubert Lockhart, and what was he known for?
Hubert Lockhart is my great grandfather. He was a Negro League baseball star. And so he was a star in the Negro Leagues, and then he went on to become the athletic director at Alabama State University at HBCU. And then the auditorium is named after him there too. So if I ever decide to take my ass to college, I got a free ride at Alabama State down there.
Hey man, I just met you, you know what I'm saying? But if I decide, I might ask you for a cosign, man. That's yeah, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal, man.
Why don't we all three go down there and join a step group and do it right? You know what I mean?
Hey,
Bark on the dogs.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, join the alphas. We'll get down.
Other question I have for you is, since you shaved your eyebrows off recently, I want to know what that was about.
Grew back. So you know Yasser, right? You guys know Yasser Lester?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, he's my boy, and we always fuck with each other. You know, I always pick on his ass, and he picks on my ass. We send each other battle raps back and forth, just little poems, just in the middle of the day. Here's something about your girl. Here's something about your mom, and I expect him to clap back. But he put up this thing when all this stuff happened with the George Floyd thing. You know, he put up all this trying to guilt white people into doing stupid shit. And I started laughing. It was so funny because they were sending him fucking money, and all of a sudden they don't need money. They're sending money.
Wrong. Hey Jeremy, we doing it wrong, man.
I know. Yeah. And so he was guilting white people, and so I was like, look, man, I'm half white, so I figured I should do something. So let me shave off one of my eyebrows just to show you some solidarity. And Yasser loved it. He's like, I didn't think you'd do it. I was like, if I had somewhere to be, I wouldn't have done it. And my wife was so fucking mad at me for doing it. Like, she laughed at me. Every time she looked at me, I looked like just some crackhead who got too close to the flame, you know, like missing eyebrow, got mosquito bites, I'm itchy, you know. I'm like, hey, man.
Yo, that's hilarious. I thought you like the Santa Claus because I seen you shaved your beard, it grew back fast, eyebrows just back fast.
I'm a hairy motherfucker, man. I'm hairy in the places I shouldn't be, and then in the places I wish it, my fade is fading away. You know what I mean? Like that, you know when you can't get that part line going anymore. Like I was rocking a part line till like maybe 2018. I could rock a nice one too, and I was so glad they came back because I'm a kid of the '90s. I had part lines here, and so it came back. I'm like, the part line's back. I'm gonna get one, and I had it going. But like the Venetian coastline, my shit just kept receding. I'm like, God, man. I'm like, at least I can grow a beard and I'm tall.
Right.
And so I just take it down to street level now. It's that easy. And, you know, brothers, we have good shaped heads. We don't have those weird, pointy, funny heads, you know.
I'm not far from you, bro. I'm trying to hold it in.
When I took it down to street level and I actually started like really taking it all the way down, I looked younger and I felt younger too.
Stop it, man. I'm convertible, man.
See?
You know what I'm saying? We 100%.
Right. Like, I can't tell if you're 19 or 45. You know what I mean?
Hey,
I can't tell. I have no idea.
49 years and fully, we're not even convertible. We just open top. You know what I'm saying? Open top, well groomed open top on.
Yeah. And that's
I'll tell you this though. The funny thing is that if you said to me right now, I'll give you $5,000 if you could grow Jeremy's beard. We're not even talking about you. We're talking about the revenant. We're not talking about the upper levels, the higher levels of it.
Yeah.
I can't grow hair on my face, man. It just look like patches.
You know what it is? It's like boobs for men. You know, they haven't made fake beard boobs yet, and when they do, I'm gonna be so pissed.
They do.
Oh, they filler. The filler. I've seen the filler. They line it up and then they fill it. Yeah.
They'll take a dude like me and they can make me like you.
Yeah, but do they fill it with just paint? Like if I touch it, is there any texture? Remember when what was his name in the league in the NBA? Boozer, one of those dudes, was spray painting his hair on. You remember that shit?
Yeah.
And you could see it because our hair doesn't reflect light. It's not supposed to reflect light. And Boozer's shit was like a bounce light. I was like, brother, come on, man, get that shoe polish off your head. You look stupid.
Yeah, right.
I'm worried they're gonna come up with a pill to make dudes be able to grow a beard like this. I'm like, damn, man.
I heard about it. But the funny thing about it, years ago, one of your favorite hip hop artists told me that they were gonna come out with something, and I can't remember what the process was that he said, but I know for a fact he's one of your favorite hip hop artists.
Okay, you guys
Jay-Z?
Nah, but he's one of your favorite though. But he said you'll be able to grow flat tops. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, word? Like you're like up here, like you get it all.
Yeah. All, like, man, regardless of where you are, you're gonna be able to do it. You know,
in our lifetime, in the very near future.
Yeah, that was probably like 2003, 2004 that you said it, but I haven't seen it yet, and I
wonder if it was Nas who told you that.
Oh no.
Okay, there's my favorite rapper. That's one down.
That's mine too.
Mine too. Nas is the greatest. Nasty Nas. That's the greatest.
Oh boy.
Nasty Nas till I die. Illmatic. Nobody can touch it. Not
man.
with a 10-foot pole.
Have you been to Sweet Chicks?
No.
Oh, Sweet Chicks is Nas's restaurant, man. You got to go down there.
Is it Atlanta?
No, they got one in
New York.
Oh, in Fairfax.
Fairfax, across the street from Cantor's.
Okay, I didn't know
right
that.
next to the dime.
I was just at Cantor's like a week ago too. I should have known that.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Who's my favorite rapper? That's what I'm curious about now.
Oh, no, I wasn't Nas though. No, I wasn't Nas, but I did have a good conversation with Nas though. I was curious. My question to him was like, how does one make money across the street with a high-end soul food restaurant from like a Jewish staple deli, Cantor's? Like, dude, I've heard like multi-million-dollar deals done at Cantor's. Like when I know when we had a booking agent, he was from New York. When we met up, we met over at Cantor's and whatnot. So I was like, you know, how do you make money? And he broke down some real game to me. He was like, basically people like comfort and luxury, and you just have to package it in a way that people can afford comfort and luxury, and they'll fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it made all the sense in the world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I was like, because he had like, I want to say it was like it was like a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles crossed with an M&M's, but everything was like organic chicken, high-end this, you know, shrimp and grits with super fat shrimp, the Caesar salad. You know, a lot of people meat shame me. I could talk about food forever, but the Caesar salad had the thickest applewood bacon. Like that was the meat. Like that was the meat. So it was an applewood bacon Caesar salad. So
I love applewood bacon. I ate a whole pack of it last night. A whole pack of applewood bacon.
So you got to go and check. Hey, man.
Hey, but you know what? Here's why Nas was also brilliant, because you know what happened in the Fairfax district? It became the sneaker district, because it used to be La Brea, but then Fairfax opened up and they started selling all the high-end sneakers, and so kids were coming from all over to line up there, and he probably also saw that and said, hey, while we're here, you know, you can go get corned beef on rye, or you can come over here and get some dope sneakers and you know, some chicken and waffles, which I'm all about that.
Oh man, we went to the PharcydeTV partners with this company that is partnered with Nas, and so they threw a party, like a launch party or whatever, and so they gave free food, whatever. That food was so good. Not even because it was free though. Not even because it was free. It was like, the experience to me was like Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, but it was just like really good. It wasn't
made by like a 3-star Michelin chef, like somebody who really made that meal.
Yeah, it wasn't just like you were eating soul food,
right?
Or like, because Roscoe's, to me, Roscoe's is just okay. It was good because to be open at 2:00 in the morning or whatever.
Yeah,
like I would hit the one in Long Beach after I went out to bars or just whatever. But the food at a Nas spot, like everything was really good, man.
Oh wow!
Really good. All the way down to the liquor selection. You know?
Yeah. Oh wow, they got a liquor selection there.
Oh yeah.
Leave it to Nasty Nas to have a nice liquor selection.
Oh
too.
Yeah, top shelf. You know what I'm saying? He's with Hennessy XO on him. You know,
he's always stoned. He had a line, and I think it was off of Stillmatic. They said, and he was talking about an ideal woman, and he said, the way to a man's heart is through, or the way the man's heart is through his stomach, because a nigga get mad munchies when he's smoking. Like, it was something so he put it so well. I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it, but he put it so well, and I was. It's that one off of Stillmatic, 2002-3, and it was the one where he's talking about the bad bitch that he wants. I want a girl, who will do this, who will do that, who will do this and do that, because nigga stays mad hungry when he sparks. That's what she said.
Yeah.
A nigga stays mad hungry when he sparks. And I was like
you gotta be skilled in the culinary arts. A nigga stays mad hungry when he sparks.
Yes. And that's when I was like, he still got it. I don't care if this is 4 albums away from his magnus opus.
Yo, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I just had to come on, man.
I had a Nas shirt on yesterday.
This is what I'll say about Jeremy. He said he was a Nas fan. And I would have to say that I was arrogant enough to say I really didn't believe him when he first said that. And
wow.
And then he recited lyrics and knowledge that surpasses what
you either know. Yeah, there's no casual Nas fans. You don't meet somebody who's like, I dabble in them. No, but it's like that. You know, it's like that. I doubted him, and you never get the mic back.
I have to hold back because it gets a little crazy sometimes. I have to just drop doses. You see how I had to act like I didn't know what you were talking about at first? That was on purpose.
Okay.
No, but then you caught on and you finished the line. You know what I mean?
Oh, come on. Yeah, I really got an issue.
But I will get on Twitter and just put out my top 10 albums just to piss people off. It pisses them off every time. Where's so-and-so? Where's so-and-so? I'm an old school hip hop head. I'm second generation hip hop. You know what I mean? My dad turned me on to hip hop. And so it was like, we would watch Yo MTV Raps together. Like we knew everybody. And even though I grew up on the West Coast, I was so East Coast snobby because that's where hip hop started. And so to this point, I still have, like, I know that people who look at my list are like, that's very East Coast heavy. I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry.
Did y'all see Snoop's list?
Yeah, I saw his list.
His list was all over the East Coast.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta be honest. So when I was in high school, 88-ish, 87-ish, man, I can remember homeboys having square back VWs. And that's what made me love Eric B. and Rakim.
Oh, God,
the bass coming out the back of those Sherwin Vega speakers, out the back of that Bug, in that first album.
Yeah.
It's crazy how...
Paid in Full, 1986.
Peep this. I'll never say that our culture, because you know, I'm a purist in a way of sorts, where I felt like, well, you know, what was going on from 88 to 95, 96, these new kids, they don't get it. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then this is the thing, though. I had a homeboy. Shout out to my DJ homeboy. I'm not going to put your name out there and put you on blast. But I had a conversation with him. And I said, I was like, how do you listen to this new stuff? Like, how do you listen to these guys? And he said, because I was telling him, like, I couldn't get into the new progression of I won't call it hip hop. I'll just say music in general. And he said, well, you want too much out of it. He said, I'm gonna give you a formula. Either pick a dope beat, a dope rhyme, or a catchy little catchphrase. And that's just where we are right now. So like, as far as how back in the day, how we would have like everything, you can't even look at it as everything. You just have to look at it as just something good. And I'll tell you this, I'll become a fan of Post Malone.
Oh, I like Post.
I'm a fan of, but this is the thing though.
What?
The old school hater in me just would not allow me to just turn the corner. Like I couldn't. I couldn't. It was
your own way, though.
I
bought that album, that beer bongs or Bentleys and beer bongs or something, and I sat in my pool and listened to it. Fucking humble brag. And I was like, this dude has something, man, because he was going from alternative to rap to rock. Like, he was putting something out that I hadn't heard before.
I was judging him based off of the faded appearance and how he would look when he's talking during interviews, and not listening to the music. You know what I'm saying?
Because there's nobody more junkie than a white junkie. They're the junkiest junkies.
But this is the thing. Brown, he's my business partner. He's one of the dudes in the PHARCYDE or whatever. He's kind of like my compass sometimes when it comes to like me not being jaded and being level.
Right.
And he'll say something where I may be in a form of hatred, and he'll say, dude, think about when we were 21 or 24 or 30. dude, if we had a quarter of what these dudes had, we'd be off the chain. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so these are young musicians that's getting it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're getting their Grammys, they're selling their records, they're doing everything. So as far as like judging them off of anything other than the making of music, you can't even put that in the
and you're right. The past is the past. Like you think even rock and roll, like Led Zeppelin, who's gonna top that? It was just the time, it was the era, it was the feeling. Like when we grew up in the 80s and 90s, it was the cheapest to make music ever. Especially when they started putting it on CDs, it was the cheapest time, so they could make the richest sound and put it all on there. And so when you had Nas come out, you had DJ Premier, you had every producer want to work with this new gifted person because they just couldn't believe how good they were. But that was also, we bought the album on Tuesday, midnight Monday. You went to the concert. Bought the ticket.
Waited in anticipation for midnight it to be for you, so you knew you could go and buy it the next day. Or some record stores would stay open late the night before the record was going to come out, and you could get one at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You were like, "Oh,
I got 36 Chambers at midnight. I got so many things because of the dude knew me. He knew I was a serious hip hop head, and I had to have it. And I couldn't wait. And I had to not just get it, but read the liner notes like we used to do, read the shout outs, read the thank yous, see who produced what. And so we were so much more immersed with those artists back then. And we're now, it's like we were more curious about their music than their life. Like I didn't much think about what Rakim did. I know he liked to write rhymes and cool in his mansion. I don't know what he did.
Favorite dish.
Yeah, me and my boy we're like, dude, the Oracle is the man, but that was his weakest fucking lyric ever. Fish, which is my favorite dish. I'm like, come on, man. What's up with the hat rhyme?
Rakim saying that was almost godly, man. It was almost godly.
Rakim is the god of hip hop to me. He is the greatest rapper. I always say that. I always say Rakim is the Oracle. He is the godfather of hip hop.
I give him his respect, man.
Yeah, you have to, because like I was watching him talk about Eminem the other day. He's like, Eminem's dope. I'm like, see, people need to hear the Oracle talk about Eminem when they want to say that he's not that great. He's not my favorite, but I have to put respect on the kid. You know what I mean? He's older than me.
I've got the greatest Eminem story, and I'll say it a million times. Well, I'll abbreviate it, and I just say this. I went to a Dr. Dre showcase, saw Eminem, and was not impressed, man, at all. No, but this is the thing, though. I understood. A lot of people won't call Dr. Dre for what he does, and outside of him producing dope music, this is what makes him masterful. Dr. Dre takes battle rappers, and he teaches them structure, and he shows them how to be dope artists. Eminem is a battle rapper. Kendrick Lamar is a battle rapper. 50 Cent is a battle rapper. He breaks down structure and he shows these dudes how to make songs, and they're incredible, man.
When I watched that documentary with him and Jimmy Iovine, like I always loved Dr. Dre. I think he's amazing. But when I saw that documentary with him, I'm like, that guy is a genius. I mean, from another planet, Dr. Dre is. And as East Coast heavy as I am, when The Chronic came out, the West Coast snatched hip hop from the East Coast. And the reason why, it was a lifestyle. You could see these beautiful skies, these cars, things like when you watch New York rap videos, they're just in an alley and they're always slow walking with bubble coats on, looking miserable, looking cold.
The 90s, man.
Yeah, there's like 12 of them. There's like 12 of them. They're cold, they're angry. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Dre's videos come out, and it's this beautiful California sky.
Stress weed in the blunts, not to cut you off, but they walk like they had stress weed in the blunts.
Right. And dudes were dressed, black dudes were dressing like cholos. I was like, what is this culture? I love this. And so it was such an introduction to a new culture that I liked a lot, that I thought that he put the West Coast on the map. I mean, I saw Eazy-E perform when I was 7 years old at a park in Arizona. Like I was like, this was 1986 or 87. And so like, I've always been there to see guys break, but when it comes to hip hop, I'm not such a hip hop head that I'll say Dr. Dre. I might even put him above DJ Premier. I might go against my own.
You said you might put him against.
I might. No,
I agree. I just think with Premier.
Whoa.
Where's Premier's Chronic?
Liberty, man, but both y'all taking it just a little too far with this, man.
I mean,
both y'all taking it just a little too far.
DJ Premier's the
Primo
architect,
has a style. You want a Primo track, but nobody does a Primo album. Think about it. You want a couple of Primo tracks, that's an honor. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's not a style. Sorry, it's not a style. It's not an overall. Like Dr. Dre gives you an identity. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And Primo comes to accentuate what you already got. Like Nas was so nasty when he ripped up Jingle of the Bells. He was so nasty. It was 1992, and this guy, based on 2 bars, got a deal with everybody in New York. Now, that may have been presumptuous, but the man is like Orson Welles. He put out Citizen Kane. His first album was the greatest album ever made. And I have people go against me for this because they say there's no bangers. There's no bangers on it. It doesn't need any bangers. It doesn't need any anthems. You know what I mean?
They're making albums like that now. They're when artists who are developed already, they already got a couple of hits. They came and went. They're now trying to make albums to compete with Illmatic as far as thematic. You know what I'm saying? That's what Lil Wayne's funeral was. That's what Music to Be Murdered By. It's like when J. Cole, every album, that's his style now.
They're trying to make a thriller, and thrillers come on once in a lifetime. It's just that hard to get everything to come together right and to come up with such a sound and so like the people will tell me like, oh, they don't play Nas in the clubs. It's not a club music. You sip a little, you lay back and you listen to Nas, but you listen to that slow flow Queensbridge sound, and he takes you on a ride. You know what I mean? He takes you on a ride, and it's just like, oh my God, I feel like I went through the streets of Queens with him. I feel like I visited his friend in prison. I feel like I know what happened when Jerome got shot in a dome piece down at Jones Beach. You know?
Ill Will. Rest in peace, Ill Will.
I got a question that's burning me right now.
All right.
I mean, and when I say it's burning me, it is burning me.
Burn.
What city did you grow up in?
I was an Air Force kid, so lived in.
You moved around.
I moved around, so that's why I have a non.
Nah, you got
I'm not
stuff for everybody else. Nah, you got stuff for because I had a homeboy who he was a Navy kid, but his parents settled in the South Bay, kind of where I live. Okay. Because he moved around, he was exposed to so much more. Yeah. You know, because like being in LA, I didn't realize this until once again my boy Brown from the PHARCYDE, he kind of broke it down. I didn't understand that there was regional music. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. There's music that can be popping in a particular city, but it's really not popping nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? But it's
popping in the streets.
But it's popping so strong wherever it is. You're how you would perceive it is the world is feeling this. You know,
right? And just like politics, if you're in a bubble, you're in a bubble. If you watch that hip hop evolution, you'll see every contribution each coast and the South and the North made. You'll see the sound, like on the East Coast, it's the A rhyme scheme. Every word of the sentence has to rhyme with the last word of every sentence for the whole verse. Now, when you create those parameters, that makes the verbal gymnastics and the rhyme scheme so much more difficult than West Coast. But what West Coast has is awesome beats that come from funk and things like that. And so it makes you want to, open the windows of the car, party. And so each thing, I always say, each coast offered so much to the grand scheme of hip hop, and so when you, like you were talking about earlier, down in the South, they were doing crunk and they were doing all this stuff that people didn't, that's all they knew, and then when it kind of went national with some of those guys, exactly, like some of the guys out of ATL and some of the guys out of Louisiana, when it went national, those break beats and those choppy beats like that, and that, not my cup of tea, but now when you see the evolution of it, you're like, everybody put into hip hop, just like jazz. Everybody put a little flavor in, you know what I mean? Everybody put their stamp on it. There's no rules.
I heard a pretty interesting interview with Big Gip last week, and he was break from Goody Mob. Yeah. He was breaking some stuff down, and everybody feels like where they came from was like super dope. It was just whatever, but he broke down some stuff. First of all, Goody Mob's first album was recorded at Curtis Mayfield's house.
Yeah, I heard that.
You know what I'm saying? And he was breaking it down how like Curtis kind of like not necessarily took him under the wing, but was like, yo, Like he said that Curtis had took him into his room and they went in like a closet, and he was like, these are the original Superfly tapes. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
These are reals, you know what I'm saying? And whatever. And just kind of gave him an OG's perspective on the music industry and how and the things that you can do and whatnot. And I just felt that very interesting, because for me, it took me a while to understand the South. You know what I'm saying? It really took me something to grasp. Like it was like, you know, it was beyond me. Like I couldn't get it. But I'll say this. T.I., I gravitated towards, for sure.
Yeah, I did too. I even watched this reality show on Netflix. I really liked him. I liked everything about him. I loved his Southern style. I don't like that he's trying to call people out to battle rap, but then again, I kind of do.
What?
No, I do.
I mean, 50 Cent and T.I., that don't excite you?
It does excite me, and I gotta say, I was a little girl the last verses with Snoop Dogg and DMX. I was screaming. I was so into it.
I'll say this to you. 50 Cent has learned through Dr. Dre how to make songs.
Oh, for sure.
But he's a battle rapper. Never forget who he was before he got signed. The dude making all them tapes and whatever.
Mixtape dude, yeah.
T.I.'s a great artist. Don't get me wrong. I really like a couple of his albums.
So you feel like 50 would have washed T.I. in a song for song?
No, what I feel like is you don't understand who 50 Cent was before he blew up, and he was a battle rapper. So it's like he doesn't do battle raps because they don't sell money. It doesn't sell records.
He was a mixtape junkie back then.
Oh, dude, he's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Or rather, let me say, he was ridiculous as he was building his way up.
Oh yeah. His success is no accident. He was a serious hustler, and it was like Master P. That's another guy. It's like not into his stuff, but when you hear about him selling shit out of the trunks in Washington D.C. to dudes who had no idea who he was and didn't know where he was from, you know, it's like the guys like that, the Dr. Dre's, the Master P's. It's the guy who's willing to go out of his neighborhood to look for another sound or opportunity to bring that sound to a national stage. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so you have to have your Dre's, you have to have your elder statesmen of the game to show you how to, you know, not get taken for a ride by a record company, not how to stay open-minded, listen to a rock album, a folk album, something to get that sound that you might want to sample, because that's like, if you guys, I don't know if you saw the Wu-Tang series on Hulu, it was really well done, and they just showed these guys are just, that's the thing with New Yorkers, they live on top of each other. So other cultures don't bother them to take in what they have, you know, whereas LA is a very segregated city. And so you'll notice that a lot, where in New York, they're like this, in LA, blacks live here, Jews live here, Armenians live here, you know, Mexicans live here. It's becoming more connected with ride share and stuff, but there's something about New York where they're just on top of each other, and it mixes in. They can't help but eat each other's food, listen to each other's music. They just can't help it, you know? And so I see the open-mindedness, like you're talking about, you know, about listening to the new guys, you know, and not being, oh, back in my day, you know, it's like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, it depends on what day you catch him, though. Today is a good day.
Today I'm open-minded.
But Jeremy helps. Jeremy helps me. I will say that. And he doesn't help me in a way where he's like telling me what to do, but he questions my perspective sometimes. And I'm like,
and it's good to, like, I've you know, I have a friend who's literally trying to convince me that Nas ain't shit. I'm like, I'll listen, but come on, man. Like, and he keeps telling me, he's the guy who tells me no bangers. I ain't gonna put him on blast. I won't say his name, but no bangers. I go, bangers are the two things that the A&R guy comes to you and says, we need some radio hits, man. We need radio hits. Nas is like, no fucking radio hits.
You done stirred Jeremy up, man. You can't talk about his Nas.
Hey, we can do this all day.
There's two people I love. I'm literally, while I was talking to you guys, I'm watching for the 5th time the Michael Jordan documentary. The 5th fucking time. Ooh. It's him and Nasty Nas. It's like everybody else, bring a lunch.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with watching excellence and watching the road, the bricks that were laid. I listen to I would say once a month, I listen to Laws of Success, and I listen to Napoleon Hill just as a compass, you know, just personal stuff, just to retune up my mind. So if I slipped off of the passion, I know that for me personally, those are two things I can go to draw the passion. And I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, you know what I'm saying, ready to run out the house, run out the shower, run out the house, get it popping. And then I come home at 8 or 9, and then I'm still feeling amped up, and I just gotta chill out.
And that's what it is. Yeah, you got to watch the guys. Like when I watched Jordan, like I grew up with Jordan. I started watching him the year he was drafted. You know what I mean? And there's something about that work ethic. Like God,
like hair.
Yeah, when he had hair in the part line, like I had before God took it. And it was just one of these things. Like if I could have 1/100th of that man's ambition, drive, discipline, you know what I mean? Like God, it's so admirable. Like when you watch him, he's a general. There's nobody ever been better at their job than that man. And when you watch it, like I'm revisiting nostalgically, but I'm like, I lived it. You guys lived it. That shit was real. This was a living legend. I never got to see Muhammad Ali box, but this is the closest I've come. You know what I mean? Like this is somebody who says it, backs it up, and does it again and again and again. And it's just like, oh God, how can you be so amazing?
I've had my issues with Jordan, and then I just had to just kind of sum it up to, I'm just a mere Greg Campbell, Schmooche, you know, little Splendid podcast, do a couple things. It's cool sometimes, not cool sometimes. You're talking about somebody who's been excellent for a very long time. And when I say excellent, I'm saying he's going out on the basketball court and he's almost doing ballet on these fools. You know,
poetry in motion. Poetry in motion. And the thing is, I get it. People will look back, and it's easy to look back in hindsight and go, hey man, why don't you speak up about politics? But the truth is, politics were not that divided back then. You wouldn't meet somebody who's Republican and kick them out of your house back then, you know what I mean? Like, and so the difference between him and Ali was a one-man band. He didn't have a whole franchise behind him who depended on him. He was a one-man band that could say, you know what, I'm not going to fight that war. And I admire him so much for that. And I think that was so amazing. But when they try to say that Jordan should have done the same thing, when Michael Jordan entered the league and started playing for the Chicago Bulls, attendance was up, jobs were up, the league was up. You know, it's not just shoes selling. Like this is a guy who weighed in with his wallet rather than his mouth. And now that we live in this really divided time, it's easy to look at him and criticize and go, hey man, why weren't you saying anything? He's jet black. He's wearing his own shoes. He's the most famous man on earth. And everybody admired him. So now looking back a little less militant, I'm like, just his pure existence for us was a great thing. Because it might have made that racist uncle or that racist guy, you know, go take it and look at this beautiful human being and go, holy fuck, this is the most, inspirational man I can see. And so it's easy to criticize him this many years later and go, you should have spoke up, MJ. Maybe he should have. And now he is, but I feel like he let his work do the speaking.
I remember when the dunk came out. I remember, now we're not talking about airs, we're not talking about none of that extra whatever. I just remember how powerful the Jordan red and black and white dunk.
Oh,
what
that illegal? The illegal shoe?
You might as well have rolled. You might have rolled a Bentley to junior high school if you had on some.
Yeah.
If you had some of those, man.
I have one pair of original Air Jordans, which I don't wear. They're my stage shoes. And then I have a couple of other pair of Air Jordans, which I'll wear occasionally. But I bought them every year from 1987 through 92. And then they just started to look like moon boots to me. And I wasn't with that.
I'll say they lost me, man. The dunks were always my favorite. And then there was one maybe around 96 that I really, you know, I kind of liked it a little bit, but I was never.
You know what, I was playing, I lived in a house before where I had a basketball hoop and I was hooping a lot. So I was like, I need to go buy some proper modern basketball shoes because all my shit are like 88, this, you know, old school hip hop sneakers. And so look, oh snap.
Get the moon boots, something to look like a moon boot.
Look at that. That's the 93, right?
It's the 3.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's
now,
the one.
This one you probably think is a moon boot. This is a 6 right here.
Yeah,
those are the ones I like. Those are the ones I like.
These are 6.
I take it back. I bought it up until 6. I bought from 87 until 1993. So I had the 6s. It was after that when they started to look like moon boots. But I had it when I was playing basketball for like 10 years ago.
These moon boots?
Yeah.
That was
like that.
It's a 9, yeah.
When I was playing some basketball like 10 years ago, I was like, I got to go buy me a set of new like modern basketball shoes because my ankles are hurting. And if you saw that Jordan documentary, he wore the Jordan 1s on his last game. He's like, my feet are fucking killing me.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and so I bought some Kobe's, and honestly, they felt great on my feet. But they were ugly as fuck. They looked like giant black moon boots, and I was just like, God, why do they gotta look so loud? You know, where's the sleekness to them? But they were function over form for sure.
So tell me this: what junior high school did you go to?
I went to Kyrie Middle School in Phoenix, Arizona. And then I graduated from Corona del Sol High School there. And then I moved out here when I was 20. And I've lived here also as a kid at Edwards Air Force Base. So I've actually lived in California or LA longer than I've lived anywhere.
So when you were in junior high school, what genres of music did you listen to?
Hip hop, usually pretty hardcore hip. I was a hardcore hip hop head from 84 until 91 when my sister started getting me into rock and roll. And then I started listening to my parents' records, Zeppelin, the Beatles, all that. And so probably since 1991, I have had more genres in my playlist than people have songs. You know what I mean? The only thing I don't really like electronic music very much. And believe it or not, I like country music. I like bluegrass music. Not I Got a Dog Dead, but like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, that kind of stuff. Because they're rappers to me. You got to live the life to do it. You have to.
Nah, it was blues. It was blues.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a BB King all the way. Like my dad and I were huge BB King fans. But I love blues. I love bluegrass. But I don't really care for techno. But that's about it. But I'll listen to anything. And I try, like you're saying, I'm trying to keep an open mind. My wife's a little younger than me, and so I try to hear some new stuff. And I listened to Taylor Swift's album the other day. I'm not gonna lie, brother. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, it was fun talking to you guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, fellas.
We're about to have a shot to that. That was a. Yeah, I'm not that liberal yet, but I'm not there either.
I'm not very liberal actually. I'm actually a staunch moderate Democrat. In that, if you join one side or the other, you're gonna miss the story. I just can't do it. I can't do it with these because liberals are treating us like fucking mascots right now. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of them wanting to rescue me. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm fine. Like that. Well, I'm not your cause of the day.
Right.
Don't start sending me messages or posting things. Do something for Black causes, and don't look for credit for it too. Do that.
It's an identity thing. They feel empowered because they align themselves with the cause. Right. But it still has nothing to do with who you are. What do you contribute to society?
Right. What are you practicing in your daily life to? Understand more about Black folks, understand that we're not all poor. We don't all live in the hood. Like we're as vastly different as white people. We have so many different like things, but they've all put us into this little thing right now where we just need their help. And
you guys are talking about that P word.
Oh yeah.
It took me until age 49 to get it. Pandering, man.
Pandering. You nailed it.
And this is the thing. If a person wants something from you, they'll tell you anything. Literally, they'll tell you anything to get it. Like literally anything to get it. And it took me, until right now where I kind of get it. And it's kind of like, okay, I see what it is. Right. So tell me this. So how did you feel the first time you heard hip hop?
I thought it was something that was like trying to think, what was it? It must have been Run DMC. And what I liked about it was it was a lot like comedy. It's a rhythmic thing. You know what I mean? In that, like, it's like boxing. Like boxing is a rhythmic thing. I got to set up, punch. Same with comedy. It's the only art form where I have to intermittently make the audience approve of me. If I'm a musician, you can clap in the front, you can clap at the end. but this is the only art form I need you to approve of me every 30 seconds, essentially, right?
Every 30
and I need you to not just forget about what I did. You keep expecting more and more and more. And so the way I see it is like, especially when it comes to an art form like that, there's a rhythm to it. And same with boxing, I like rhythm. And so the rhythm of life, the rhythm of music. And so when I find with hip hop and I find a guy hit a stride, it's like watching a surfer hit the wave when the beat is right. And the same with comedy. When you're with the audience and you're feeling them and you set them up with a jab, you hit them with another jab, and now they're hurting, they're laughing, they can't take it. And then you come in with the haymaker at the end. It's the same thing. And same when you hear a really dope lyric, when you hear Method Man just say, I got to rewind that. What the fuck did he just say? Well, he had a lyric that he goes, mastered you bastards with hazardous tactics, semi-automatic full rap metal jacket, blasted in plastic, your brain on the mattress. I'm like, what? I'm like, I gotta cipher this thing out. And so you go back and you see the rhythm, and not is he just rhythmic, he's making perfect sense. And so that was always this inspiration that I would always draw on hip hop artists as a comedian. As I'm an MC, I'm going up there, I'm taking the mic. It's my show. Nobody's taking this mic from me. And if you want to try to follow this, good fucking luck. You know what I mean? Like, best of luck to you. You know? And so that's what I like about hip hop. It's not me against anybody else. It's me against myself. And the same with boxing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
You mentioned boxing several times. I definitely want to dive in.
Yeah.
What's up with you and kickboxing? Like, come on, you got to give it to us.
Yeah, I kickbox before it got shut down, but yeah, I kickbox and it's a great workout, and it's everything that boxing teaches, along with the kicks and stuff. So it's just something to stay in shape, something to be able to protect yourself, that kind of thing, and it's just it's a really good kind of mind, body, soul thing that really keeps you responsible, or keeps you like, hey man, let me get up, let me go get after this, let me not have that extra drink, let me right now, since I haven't been to kickboxing, I'm having that extra drink, I'm sleeping that extra hour. But as a military kid, I always grew up with a strict black father who's like, we need to get up, we need to get after it. And so I have to be that for myself now, you know what I mean? And so if I need to get that from kickboxing or from somebody kicking my ass, because I played football and it was all that in high school, I need somebody to kick my ass. I'm not like Jordan, I can't kick my own ass. I was like, nah, I'll just chill,
Hey, you know what, Jeremy? The time, but I'll say this too. So I went to go and watch Jeremy. I hadn't seen live comedy in years. I went to go and see who I thought was one of my favorite comedians, and I was horribly disappointed. I was kind of snowed in Denver. And then we sat on the tarmac for like 3 hours waiting for the snow to let up. Then the snow let up. And then we flew to LA. Then I got picked up in LA. And we went downtown to see who I thought was one of my favorite comedians. But I thought he was my favorite because he was funny in movies. But
Eddie Griffin.
But I had never seen stand-up.
Eddie Griffin?
No, I would never say who it was. No, I didn't say that. So
you're not supposed to name names.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
I'm talking about Freddy. He said Eddie Griffin.
It's like, it's gotta be Eddie Griffin. I know it.
Hey, guess another one of them.
Freddie is chilling with a beautiful view that he showed when he glanced over at his dog with a nice big German Shepherd chilling in the crib.
She went to bed with mom. She's with my wife in the bed now. No. I you know what the thing about that is though? Here's what's hard about comedy. It's like baseball. It's like seeing Mark McGwire not even get a single in a game. And you'd be like, oh, he's not that good. You know what I mean? Like there's so many elements that can go into it. And I've, I know a lot of the big comedians and I've seen them have bad nights. And so that's kind of the thing that sucks too, is that, if you see him one time, you're like, oh, that wasn't his HBO special. Sometimes maybe they're just working it out. Sometimes maybe, the crowd's just not feeling him, or sometimes maybe they just suck. It's either Eddie Griffin or Chris Tucker. I know it.
It's neither of them. And I will say this. They were taping it and he told one joke 3 times and he couldn't get it any of the 3 times. And that's probably what kind of got me. And I was just like, oh man, I can't believe I went through all this to get
What year was this?
It was maybe about like 5 years ago, maybe like 5 years ago. Yeah, and it was supposed to be a big deal. Like it literally was a big. Like it was
one of three guys. It's one of
Huh.
three guys.
Huh.
I know it. I know who it is. It's one of three guys. I'm not gonna name any more names. I've already put enough people on blast.
Okay. Yeah. You know what, Jeremy? We gonna have to bring him back because
we have so much more to talk about.
It's some cool chemistry. But that's some B conversation. That's the conversation we have before we warm the show.
Can I ask you guys a question? Are you the PHARCYDE? You know that's my favorite West Coast rap group ever. Is that any relation?
Hey.
Yep, I work with them. Yeah,
I have said 2 West Coast rap groups, and I'm sure your time is limited here, but 2 West Coast rap groups: PHARCYDE, Digital Underground. Nobody can fuck with them. Nobody can fuck with them. Brilliant.
Man.
Brilliant. Oh, and Jurassic 5. I'll throw them in there too.
This dude, Jeremy.
In my younger days, I used to sport a sag. When I went to school, I carried lunch in a bag with an apple for my teacher because I knew I'd get a kiss. God, that's one of those songs. I'm like, who came up with this beat? And how did you come up with these amazing lyrics? Like, She Keeps On Passing Me By is in my top 5 greatest hip hop songs of all time.
I was just a homeboy around for some of the process while some of that music was being made. And it's so weird because while it was being made, like when you hear studio takes and stuff like that, you don't get what the $5,000 wedding cake is gonna be.
Right.
The flour being sifted, you get the egg being cracked, you get all that kind of stuff. So it was actually amazing for me to hear the final
that song when you hear I'm like, how did somebody conceive of this? This is seriously one of the most brilliant sounds I've ever heard. And so I've always loved them. There's a great documentary about West Coast hip hop called The Good Earth Cafe. And it showed all these guys in the late 80s and early 90s who ended up becoming big stars who were performing at this cafe down on
Good Life Cafe.
The Good Life Cafe. Right, my bad.
Ava DuVernay shot that. Ava, now I'll tell you about Ava.
Oh, that's Ava's? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that was Ava, man. Let me tell you. I can, and not that I'm no type of hip hop historian or nothing, but I could put the stamp on I can remember seeing Ava at the Good Life Cafe. I want to say it had to be like 91, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And I'd have to say like Shannon Doherty was in the parking lot in her Mercedes Jeep, and you had all these people from Beverly Hills. Like that was a point in time in hip hop that nobody talks about.
Oh, I know. It's a great time.
Where you had like what was his name? I can't even remember his name, but he was on a 902. I still can't even remember his name.
Brian Austin Green, who played.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But you had guys like him, but then it went further than that. I'll tell you a funny one. I went to go and see my homeboy yesterday, and he stays in Hollywood, and he worked for the PHARCYDE, like their first real manager.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and he was like,
Delicious Vinyl, by the way. Sorry.
That was the record, that was the label.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and he said, man, I remember seeing you DJ at Ballistics. And Ballistics was a club that the Black Eyed Peas threw, and they would have David Faustino as like the MC.
Bud Bundy.
And it's crazy that he remembered that night, because I'm going to tell you about this night real quick. I'm going to make it fast. So Busta Rhymes came, and their manager at the time, Paul Stewart, has said, I'm going to let you spin, but don't change none of the settings on the mixer. Don't touch one button. Just use that crossfader. Use that crossfader. That's it. So Busta Rhymes is in the house, and I'm playing an instrumental, and he comes over and he wants to start freestyling. So he starts flipping the little switches, up and down, and just muting himself out.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken.
He rips it. Will and all the guys were there. Paul was there, but he kind of had gave me some space because he felt I could handle it or whatever. And I'm like, man, this is my first real time. Because I will say this about the PHARCYDE. Their manager, Paul Stewart, it's kind of like when they were welcomed into Hollywood and Beverly Hills as a group, I kind of got ushered along just as a homeboy before I worked with them. Just the dude who was just they were so hot that like I really wasn't even a dope DJ, but based on me just being down with them, I got kind of pushed to the front of the line. So Busta Rhymes comes, he's flipping the mute buttons up and down, he's ripping it, blah 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 blah. So then he finishes. So when he finishes, okay, he's done. We had our hot moment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now let me go into the next song. Shit wouldn't come on. It was silence in the club. And everybody's looking at their manager, Paul Stewart, walks over to me, club silent, club from Busta ripping it, the silence. And he says, get the fuck off the tables. That was classic. It was a classic moment in my life. And he said, get the fuck off those turntables.
You know what's funny is that Busta is a good freestyle rapper. And you know why? Because he's Jamaican. And Jamaicans, it started with DJ Kool Herc, hip hop did. And they were the king of the break beats. And they were the king of talking over the beat. And so when something like that comes along, people don't understand Busta can flow.
I don't even think it was that, man. I just wasn't prepared. I was overhyped. There was a gang of people in the place. I wasn't even drinking back then, so I can't blame it on the drink. I was smoking a little bit, but I wasn't faded. It was just
you were down with them from Bizarre Ride to the Far Side through Lab Cabin, California. I bought that one. I love that one. That wasn't as huge a critical success, but I loved Lab Cabin, California. I loved that. I remember that purple cover. Like, I loved it. Those guys were dope.
Ask him the question, Jeremy, about his affiliations.
What's that again?
About your man's affiliations, the comedian that kind of endorsed him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sorry. Well, I was gonna say, what is Dave Chappelle's what does a Dave Chappelle endorsement mean to you?
Honestly, I had when that happened, I had been on a couple of shows and did a couple of things, you know, but there was some more people quote having seen that, and that goes back to like we were talking about earlier with guys like Dr. Dre. You need statesmen of comedy. Now, I had the opportunity. I'll make this brief. I had the opportunity to meet Richard Pryor in 2000 when I started doing comedy, but I opted not to, and the reason being is I couldn't see that man in a decrepit state. It would have killed me. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather remember him as the legend that my father and I grew up adoring. And so with Chappelle, when I first started coming around, he was always really nice to me. Him and Chris Rock were. And they're kind of nice too, where they're not bullshitting you. They're really giving you, hey, I liked your set. Maybe try this, do that. And so one night, you know, after I had gotten to know Chappelle pretty well, he put my video on YouTube. Like, he made a video for me, and he didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he did not need to do that. And the man is so incredibly good at his job and still has time for us younger guys and young cats to not just school us, but to give us a little bump like this. Yeah. And so there's always a comedian like that will help out. And he did a great job of that. He's always been a great advocate.
But you know what I'm going to say, though? When you're passionate about something and you're truly passionate, it's not something you're doing for anybody. It's just you're in your place where you feel comfortable.
Right.
And it's almost like whatever your higher power is handing it to you.
Yeah, you're in the right path.
People recognize it though. Like when it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I've done different things, different business ventures and whatnot. And I can honestly say my work ethic has got me places where my talent would never get me.
Oh, and that's a huge component that so many people in this business don't understand. Your work ethic has got to surpass your talent. No, I don't care how talented you are.
Man.
Like when I would see Chris Rock show up, always showed up alone, always had a notebook, never bumped anybody. I was like, if the number one comic at the time in the world could be that way, why is the number 50th comic an asshole to everybody who bumps everybody? Carlos Mencia.
Because he's the number.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like so I think he was good at setting an example too for young comedians, especially black comedians. There's there's such a stigma with us where, oh, you need to talk about this, you need to talk about that. Dave's not afraid to explore all realms, even unpopular notions, you know what I mean? And so someone like that, to just get to know him and to be around his greatness is something I'll talk to my grandkids about, if nothing ever else happens for me, you know?
Mm-hmm. So tell me this, at what point did you realize you could make people laugh?
When I was 4. And it wasn't just people, it was adults. If I could make an adult laugh, that meant so much to me. A kid, that was easy to make laugh. But when I could make my folks laugh, especially my dad's just a hard old black man. Nothing impresses him, nothing. The only time I saw my dad impressed was in 1983 during the Motown 25th anniversary. Michael Jackson did the moonwalk. I have never seen, my dad is just, nothing phases him. There's a bump in the night, he'll go see about it. Car breaks down, nigga's gonna fix it. You know what I mean? Like, he's a man. And so that time we were watching Michael Jackson and then he did the moonwalk. My dad was clapping, standing up.
He almost didn't stop. I can remember that moment right now. It seemed like he moonwalked for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. The cameraman was bobbing. Everybody was losing their fucking mind. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to blow my dad's mind. You know what I mean? I want an attaboy from my dad like that. And so the trouble with it is when I got into comedy, my dad was my biggest fan. So I got so many attaboys from him that I didn't really get as a kid. He's like, get up, little bitch. Go to work. Go to school. Go play football. But as we got to be men, and he's only 22 years older than me, as we got to be men, we became best friends. He's my best friend, my father is. And as a black man, it's so privileged to be able to say my best friend is my father. You know what I mean? Like not only do I have a great relationship, he's a great advocate, he's a great advice giver, and he's got the same name as me and lived through the same shit. So, it's one of those things where it's just, I appreciate how strict he was as a kid. And I appreciate not being allowed to drink soda and all these rules he had that made me the man I am today,
So tell me this, if you had to pick, would you say when it comes to your acting, comedic comedy, comedic actor, or just acting where you just kind of bring what the role kind of desires instead of it being like?
I would go with acting. I took dramatic acting. I took Stanford Meisner, and all my favorite movies are dramas. Like, I really don't like comedies that much. I don't dislike them. It's just one of these things where it's like, I do that for a living. I can see the formula. But if I watch a good drama, you can have laughs in a drama. You can have a lot of laugh breaks and relief, and it's a little more true to life. Whereas if I watch a comedy, if I watch Friday, I'm gonna laugh the whole fucking time. That's just a brilliant movie. Right. But I don't watch sitcoms or a whole lot of comedies. I just don't, because it was always my work, And so I always looked at it like when I come home, like I like all the AFI classics. I like Casablanca down to Do the Right Thing. Like, I love great, meaningful movies and I'm also, as a comedian, it sounds, I look at crying as the same way as laughing. If you can gain an involuntary response from me, you've done your job.
Right.
So if I'm watching this movie and I'm choked up and I'm embarrassed, I'm like, I'm like, they did a good job because that got to me. And the same with laughter. It's like, you pulled that out of me. It's like making someone come. It's so intimate,
It is. Hey man, I can say I've watched a couple Netflix flicks, and I'm like, dang, they killed that role. Even if it wasn't like one of my favorite actors right now, contemporary actors, he doesn't get long roles. But whatever role he gets, he kind of kills it, man. He leaves that impression. And to me, that's like a very talented crack, huh?
Who's that? Who's the actor?
Because he's my homeboy too. So
King Woodbine?
Nah, I'm not gonna say that. He's my homeboy too. So he, but he's like he pulls something. He's so dope. Before he was my homeboy, he would play these different roles, and it was kind of like they would just kind of stick with me. You know what I'm saying? The character.
Oh yeah, that's when it's great.
Yeah, they would stick with me, and then we had further conversation, And then I could see that even in our conversation about his acting, he's very modest. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, very modest cat. You know what I'm saying?
That's always good to hear. I'm friends with a few guys on the show The Wire. Have you seen The Wire? Yeah, that's my favorite show of all time.
Shout out to Anwan Glover, man. He was as cool in person. He was as cool in person as he was on The Wire. We met him at the 420. It was a 420 cannabis festival in Washington D.C. about 3 years ago, and I was over at the hash bar, and he just happened to be at the hash bar, you know, whatever.
That smooth voice.
And I was because his voice kind of sounds like kind of raspy or whatever. And I couldn't tell if that was him because on The Wire, I'm like 6'2". He's taller than me. Like he's
about 6'5", 6'6".
He towered over me. So it was kind of like I thought that might have been the guy, but I wasn't sure. And I talked to him, and shit, we talked, kicked it. You know what I'm saying? Talked it up.
He's a cool dude.
And the funny thing about that is, the driver who picked us up when we got to the airport, he was raving about this group, Backyard. I believe that's the name of the group, Backyard, which is Anwan Glover's group, and they're go-go, you know, go-go music, DC go-go music, whatever. And he was like, "Woo, Backyard's gonna perform, woo!" And he wasn't even tripping off of Talib Kweli. He wasn't tripping off the Pharcyde, whatever. He's like Backyard, woo! And he's
That's
just
hilarious.
And I'm trying to catch it, like I'm not getting it. But when they perform, even though like Pharcyde was the hip hop, Talib was the hip hop, what they did to that crowd, I really respected. Like I got it. Like I got it.
The connected.
He's just an actor that's in a band. And the band is dope. Like people,
when you watch him on that show, he's so like half of those actors are their local guys from either Baltimore or DC. It's the most successful television show ever, and it's a 80% black cast. And when people haven't seen it, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You're watching Law and Order, you're not watching this shit? And so him on that show as Slim Charles, he was so smooth. And it was just like, I love him. I'm friends with Jamie Hector, who played Marla Stansfield.
Jamie Hector.
Yeah, I know
Y'all
Jamie.
check him in New York.
Yeah, I know Dominic Lombardo, who played Herc, the white guy with the bald head, Herc, and a couple of the other guys, Bubbles, who played Bubbles.
He was doing comedy for a little bit.
Yeah, he was.
Bubbles was in he had a dope role in that Shaft where Jeffrey Wright played Peoples Hernandez. That was incredible.
Yeah, I always figured Jeffrey Wright's my long lost father. We got the same beard and bald head.
Did you know?
And Wood Harris too, man? Come on, man.
Wood Harris. He's so good. He's
Idris Elba.
Those eyes, those scary ferret eyes. That and Marlo Stansfield. When people are like Marlo Stansfield's not scary, I'm like, he's a shark. That golf club he carries around, that's just. And I'll tell you, the scariest character is Felicia. Yeah, Felicia Snoop Pearson is the most unreasonable human being on that show. That girl is. I'm terrified of that girl. Stephen King said she's the scariest female character he's ever seen in his life. Stephen King said that. Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Because she's real B-more. Like she has that Baltimore accent. What are you doing? Where you going? You know, like all that weird Chesapeake Bay accent they have. And it's just such a specific accent too. And those actors who nailed it, they nailed it. Because that's why that show, but that show it's Dickens. It's so amazing. And when people are telling me, oh, watch the 30th best show on TV, I'm like, watch The Wire, man. And then watch it again.
I left one out. I definitely left one out. Laws of Success, Napoleon Hill, Sermon on the Mount, and Marlo Stansfield's greatest quotes and moments. That
what?
The best. And you know what it is? He plays a cop on another show on Bosch on Amazon.
Bosch, yeah.
And he's such a good actor. You buy him as an LAPD homicide detective when he was once a major drug lord and something else. That's what a good actor is. It's that scar that makes him so scary looking.
I have Amazon Prime, and I'm glad you said that because I haven't watched one
check out Bosch.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, check out Bosch. It's a good show. I'm people don't. This is a very unpopular thing to say, but I have a lot of police friends who are detectives, homicide detectives, and not regular beat cops. They're murder police.
No,
and
I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for detectives. Detectives are smart, man. They're not.
Yeah, they're smart. They're not the bullies.
Yeah, no, they're not.
No. Like 3 of my friends are detectives. One's retired, but the other 2, and they're like, The Wire is simply the greatest show that ever existed. Nobody's ever even come close to capturing what real police work is like. There is no heroes on either side, you know.
Yeah.
It's like they're both. They skated that gray area on The Wire so well that you root for people. You're upset when they're gone, and there's something about The Wire, The Sopranos, these kind of shows where anybody's ticket can get pulled. And so it adds that much more layer and depth of oh man, like this isn't network TV. The star of the show could be gone, you know? Because there is no star of The Wire. The Baltimore is the star of The Wire.
Yeah, D'Angelo, they made him seem like he was a redeemable hero. And, you know, I mean, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? After 16 years, you need to have seen this. If you haven't seen that, I don't hold back spoilers anymore. I won't tell you how it all ends, but like, come on, you got to see this. Especially the junk people are watching. I'm like, well, how have you not seen the Jordan doc? How have you not seen The Wire? What are you doing with your life? You know.
Man.
And speaking of books too, I read a great one recently called Atomic Habits, or I audiobooked it. Come on now, but and it's really good because it's not like you know those books, The Secret. They're like, you can have anything you imagine. Well, that's just not fucking true. You have to work for it. And so this book breaks down. Shut up, Dirty. This book breaks down the called the 2-minute practice. If you want to start doing something new or improving your life, show up for 2 minutes each day. Just 2 minutes. Like I got a gym in my house. I should go in there and work out. I don't. But if I go in there for 2 minutes tomorrow, the next day I'll go for 2 minutes, and the next day I'll go for 2 minutes, and eventually, because you showed up, your body's going to go, well, we're here. You might as well do the work. And you start to ease into it and ease into it and ease into it. And so it's the secret to life, moderation. And every day I'm trying to relearn that lesson, but I feel like I'm getting a little closer each day.
What do you miss post-pandemic?
What do I miss? I miss breaking bread with friends, going to have a good dinner, talking for a couple hours, you know, doing a set, just being out. I just miss, and I miss coming home because I've been gone for a while. My dogs don't even get excited when I, you know, like that's, I need structure back. I miss structure. You know what I mean? It's Groundhog Day. Every day I wake up like, what do I do now? You know? And so I do miss structure, but I really have always been pretty positive. There's something that's meant to be, something that's going to come from this. We're all going to gain something from this, be it perspective, appreciation for your family, whatever it is, something good should come from this. I hope, you know.
Yeah, I stopped going as hard. Well, I won't say I stopped going as hard. I kind of rearranged things. So I'll say definitely for my father, because he only lives like 5 minutes from me, I've been able to see him more in the morning, and then I'll come home from work. Like I'll go in earlier, and then I'll come home from work, and I'll come and I'll hang with him, have a whiskey with him. You know what I'm saying? Chop it up, get some of that old game.
Yeah, and old game.
Hey, it's funny. I was talking to him today, and I said, you know, don't think I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I was having to explain this to my father. I said, your father was the Model T. You had to crank him up from the front, you know what I'm saying, to get him going. Right. He probably could go 15 miles an hour with the pedal all the way down. My father was kind of like a Toyota. No, he was like a B12, the one that had the actual B on the side of it. You know, B12. Yeah. I told him, I'm an Audi. I'm not a Porsche. I'm not whatever. I'm not better than any of the cars that came before me. It's just technology has just made it where my vision is different. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm more, where I think like within generations of men, the newer generations are more accepting to the technology that's there. Not saying that you have to use the technology or be totally be down for the technology, but like, you know, my dad, he's single, and I look at it and I'm just like, you know, he dates or has a whatever he got going on, and I look at it like, man, if this dude could open up to the, but it's a blessing that he's not open to the internet world. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, I get it. But if he can at least embrace it and step into it, my dad sends me emojis. He sends me like gifts, like all sorts of shit.
My dad's emoji king, man. Smiley faces, all kinds of, you know.
I send my dad the have you seen the big brother with the big dick that hangs out online that people always send that picture? So my cop friends always send that to me, and I send it to my dad. Oh, I send it to my dad all the time, and he's like, "You got me again, motherfucker! Quit doing that shit." And like, that's when it's great, when, especially like you were talking about too. He is an old head, and he is old school, my pops, but he also has some timeless advice too. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's the part. That part
just puts it in perspective, where you're like, "Oh God, I didn't even look at it that way." You know?
Yeah, I look at my dad and I say, you know what? Even though we see things so opposite, you can argue anybody on anything, but you can't argue experience. Like that's the one thing that you can't argue. You can argue a lot, but you can't argue experience, because if someone has been through it, and that leads to like the last question I'm going to ask you, but it's a trip, because what we're going through right now with this pandemic, you can't ask anybody alive how to work through it. You know what I'm saying? Like
nobody's got that experience.
They have an opinion, but nobody has done it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody. So tell me this, as a comedian, and it's a trip, because you and Jeremy, I had a couple shots of tequila, man. We're having a great show.
Oh man,
good.
That sounds good.
He said, "Oh man, keep it to myself." But I know Jeremy is like a stage rat. Like he loves the stage. Like he like the stage is that's his thing. I could tell by what you said earlier that you have a very passionate way about the stage also. So with where we are right now, where do you see the progression of social interaction?
Man, that's a good question. It's hard to say, because winter's coming, as they say, and it's like, if this gets worse, this is the first time in my life I can't foresee the future. Not that I ever could, but you know what I mean? Like make plans. Yeah. And so as far as, I think we'll get through this. I do.
Oh no, we're going to get through it.
Yeah. And I think we'll have comedy again. But my dad and I were talking about this the other day, and he said things will never be the same again. And I said, what do you mean about that? And he's like, what you knew is the past. You're going to have to accept the new future. And that was another one of those old head things. I was listening to Pops, man, he still got it. And so what he meant by that was like, I can make my plans and I can have my, goals, but I can't let them dictate upon what basically Governor Newsom says the comedy store can open back up. And so what can I do? In the interim, I can write, I can work on material. And when this is all over, I can be the guy, just like I said, who went to prison. And guess what? I've got a law degree now. I made the most of my fucking time in this allotted time that we've all been asking for. We've all wanted just, you can have as much money as you want, but time is the most precious commodity on earth.
Yeah.
And right now we all have an abundance of that commodity. And as soon as I get out of my own way and get my ass up early, hit the gym, start working out again, start really accepting the new, which I think everybody has. And it just goes back to a very Buddhist thing, mind, body, and soul. Is your mind right? Is your body right? Is your soul right? Did you meditate? Did you eat right? Did you sleep right? I can't answer yes to any of those right now, but I know I can't complain either, because I haven't checked those very three crucial things off. You can't do one and not the others. You have to do all three,
I had an interesting interaction today. So I have a printing company too. So I was seeing a client before I came home, and I pulled up into their garage for their place of business, and the employee that opened up the garage for me, when he closed it, he had we did what we were going to do. I was dropping some stuff off. So he was talking to me while I was in my car, and he felt comfortable enough, and he took his mask off, and he kind of walked over. Your eyebrows went up. And then he walked over close to me, and he kept on walking close. And it was crazy, because I was like, man, he's invading my personal space. But he was only like 5 feet away from me. And I was in the car, the window wasn't rolled up. But I was like, man, this is just where we at right now.
I know.
But I really felt like if he would have just came a little, I would have just had to say like, man, we're going through something right now. I'm not trying to be a square. I'm not trying to be hard or just whatever. Right. But dude, I gotta grind every day. Like, man, I can't.
Have you not seen the news? Like, you want to say that to people? Are you fucking? Have you been in a coma? Do you not know what's going on right now?
Speaking on that, I work with a comic who was at a party last night. And it was, did you hear, it was at
Beverly Hills?
Yeah, man. He was there. He left
35-year-old woman shot dead.
He saw the girl before it happened. He said, they're Facebook. Oh my God. And he bounced. He was like, he was there and he's like, man, it was great. But he just said at midnight, it just seemed like a good time to dip. He was like, man, it's a good time. But it was amazing to me because it's kind of like, we're going through this pandemic situation right now. And like no one was wearing masks and people were just around each other.
I saw all those crowds.
And I'm not trying to perpetuate the, I guess, people being scared of people, but at the same time, it's kind of like, not saying that it's any better, but people that I am around, if we're not masked up, we're keeping distance. And then everybody is kind of looking at it like, okay, well, we're protecting everybody. Like everyone has someone older or maybe a significant other or something. So we're not just going to be on each other. But you got people out here, man, that are still, I give you one. I'm not going to even talk about my city. You so hard on the East Coast. My homeboy from New York, from Brooklyn, he's like, man, dudes is still on the corner passing blunts and passing 40s. And I'm like, man, in 2020?
Yeah, it costs you nothing to take it seriously, and it costs you everything to ignore it. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Even if it was a hoax, I'm gonna go right along with it because I ain't gonna be on a breathing machine. No thanks. I got asthma.
I tell everybody. So I had a second cousin that died 2 days ago. So I had one die about maybe a month plus, and then I just found out today, as a matter of fact, I had one die. She's a second cousin. Not that the second cousin ain't less than whatever, but
but it's still serious.
Yeah, she passed away. And this is what I tell people. We can debate from the end to the end of time on how it got here, but it's here. That's just where we at.
It's so true, and everything's so politicized now that even that's politicized. Oh, masks are that's not real. It's a hoax. I don't care. I'm wearing one, and I've done my diligence and stayed home and worn my mask. I went to go do a comedy show the other day. Nobody wiped the mic down. I had to bounce. You know what I mean? Like I'm like nobody's wiping the mic down. I've been doing so good avoiding this that I'm not gonna go get it now.
You gotta be most deaf on them, man. You gotta come with your own mic.
I know. That's some brilliant shit. Come with a case. Yeah.
He comes with his own mic. That's gonna be that's the new. That's gonna
be new. That is.
I got
next time I go to the comedy
question.
All right.
Are you still the self-proclaimed grandmaster of Grand Theft Auto?
Oh yeah, nobody can see me in that. And the thing is, I don't go adding up points. I just go killing teenagers and ruining their day. That's what I do. I snipe people out in downtown or in Beverly Hills. In the map, there's like a clock tower, and I get up there with my sniper rifle, and I just ruin teenagers' day all day. And I laugh like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. I laugh so hard, and they hate it, and they send me nasty messages, and I get off. That's that, you know, just turning fools into Swiss cheese.
I heard they're actually going to have a patch made for the new Grand Theft Auto to where people actually wear masks.
I believe that. I believe that. I haven't played in a minute, but if I get back on, I'm sure it is. Because a lot of times what happens is I get put in jail because I'm blowing up people's stuff too much. I'm not a good gamer, I guess. Yeah. But I played game in the 80s, you know what I mean? If it moves, kill it. I'm not into this hanging out and talking to people playing video games. That's some weird shit, you know. I'm not gonna talk to some kid in Panama. No thanks. You know, I'm just gonna shoot your shit up. I'm gonna sticky bomb your ass. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, no, man. Anybody you want to shout out? We about to wrap him down. You give out.
Shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me on, man. This is probably the best podcast I've done, and it's one of those things too where it's like if there's something to talk about, you know, there's you guys a lot of people would be like, tell me how you started comedy, which is fine and all that, but there's so many comedians talking to comedians about comedy that this is refreshing to talk about all things. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Yes.
I appreciate that. My shout out to you guys.
Yeah, right. I was pleasantly surprised at your knowledge of hip hop, even though it did weigh a little too far to the east. So it was tilted. You know what I'm saying?
I'll put all the respect on Ice-T, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, NWA, PharcydeTV, and Jurassic 5, and all the dope West Coast groups who sound like they're East Coast.
but you know what? But even if you love the East Coast, I will say this, man. It was a pleasure having somebody other than Jeremy that rides for East Coast hip hop and rides for hip hop. But Jeremy likes it all though, a little bit. But he does ride hard on the East. You know what I'm saying?
I do too. It's where it started. It's the Mecca. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's the Mecca. And when you start that young into it too, it's just like you're so partial. I used to run home to watch Yo MTV Raps every single day. And they were so East Coast heavy back then until Ice-T and those guys started coming along. And when Colors came out in '87, that's when Ice-T really started to get known, and then Syndicate and all that. And that's when I gravitated to him for sure.
Hey, man, you just won major for you saying the Syndicate, that puts you.
Yo, man, you think I don't know about the Syndicate, nigga? I put that shit out. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, that's funny.
Ice-T ripping the microphone for the way I do. Listen close to my brothers.
Who's the white guy in the Syndicate?
Who's the white guy? What?
In the Syndicate.
Oh fuck! You're gonna hit me with this right now.
You're younger, but I'm
no.
No, I'm gonna educate you. If you don't know,
educate me. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know.
Everlast.
Everlast. That's right.
Everlast.
Why I knew that?
Really?
I forgot about that because yeah, because in '93 that's when they came out with their album, and they were LA, but people thought they were Boston because they were so wearing all that Irish shit. But they were they weren't bad, man. I'll give it to House of Pain. I'll say the fourth best white rap group ever. Beastie Boys, third base. Well, actually, probably third. I'll give them third best white rap group ever.
Nah, House of Pain was dope. So with that being said, I want you guys to go and check out the homeboy Freddy Lockhart. Give him your Instagram tags, your whole little ins and outs.
Oh yeah, I'm on the Instagram. My old one got stolen, so I have a really small one now. But I'm on Twitter mostly. Freddy Lockhart on Twitter, and then Freddy Lockhart on Instagram. And then I also have a YouTube page where I've put nothing on, but I'm going to put this on if I can. And I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. This has been great.
All good, Jeremy. Anything you got going? Anything you wanna?
Actually been doing a lot. I got a show, Hypothetical Debate, coming out, and then also I think I did something with Boyer Magazine or whatever. So hopefully that'll drop sometime. I don't know. What are magazines anyway? It's like some digital. It's just a web page pretty much. But everything else, JeremyScippio.com. That's SCIPPIO.com. And also at Jeremy Scippio on Instagram is at Jeremy Comedy. If you can't spell my last name, comedy. That's it.
Can I ask one thing? Where'd you get that WAP last name? I'm half Italian, so I'm asking. Where'd you get that Italian ass last name?
It's so funny. Like, so
was your slave owners Italian?
That was actually one of my first jokes. My grandfather, not my great-grandfather, my grandfather, I didn't know him that well. He actually lived in New York my whole life, and I visited him like once or twice as a kid. So as I started doing comedy, I would go to New York, more, I'd see him and I just hang with him, whatever. So I finally was like, yo, so where does his name come from? Tell me more. And he goes, Yeah, I was like, don't you get mad when people call you like Skip and Skip to my Lou and they go.
Yes, it sounds like a bill collector for the mob. Jeremy Scippio's looking for you. It's not good. You know what I mean? It's like, but my last name is Lockhart, which is Scottish, and I don't have any Scottish in me. That was my slave owner's name. So I'm like, my vet's last name is Lockhart, Dr. Lockhart. And is it any relation? I go, unless you own my family. No.
Well, I will say this. I took Latin for 3 years. Scippio Scippio is actually it's crazy. I don't want to get too much into it, but I would say there was a Roman general named Scipio Africanus, who debatably Africa, the continent, was named after.
Wow. Let me tell you something in Latin. Can I speak to you in Latin? And tell me if you understand it.
Oh
Semper
my
ubi
God.
sub ubi. Semper ubi sub ubi. Always wear underwear.
Man.
I took it for 3 years. You don't remember how to do all your things? And V is pronounced as a W.
Bro, yeah, Winnie Weechie.
Weenie Weechie. Yeah. I always correct people. I was like, nope, the V is pronounced as a W in Latin.
Yeah, I got an A automatically because of my last name. That was it.
Oh yeah. I did well. My sister was really good, and she went to Johns Hopkins and did amazing things. But she helped me get through Latin, and we took it together. And people are like, "Why are you taking Latin? It's a dead language." I go, "Because I can decipher the meaning of any word when I read it."
Yes.
You know.
And
yeah. I can kill a crossword puzzle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, man, I want to thank both you guys, man. You guys came in, killed it, spiced it up. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to have you back, Mr. Lockhart. You know what I'm saying?
I would love to come back. I think we have a lot more to talk about.
Yes, sir. And thank you,
bro.
Mr. Scippio.
All right, guys.
All right. Peace. Splendid Radio on